Let's speak now, shall we, to the Public Health Minister, Andrea Leadsom, who joins us now from Central Lobby, hot-footing it over here just in time for the results of that vote. 67 MPs voting against. Are you surprised by the result?
No, I'm really pleased, actually. It was a free vote on my side of the House, and obviously the bill passed on Conservative numbers, and a lot of, I think most of Labour, I mean, we don't know exactly the party political breakdown, but I think most of Labour MPs also supported it. So it's great news for the Prime Minister's top priority. Fantastic.
Now, you gave quite an impassioned defence of the bill yourself. You spoke about your own personal experiences. I think you gave up smoking when you were 21, is that right?
I gave up as my 21st birthday present to myself, and I was up to 40 cigarettes a day at that point, having taken it up when I was 14. The point I was just making is that 83% of people take up smoking before the age of 20. So if we want to free them from nicotine addiction, we need to focus much younger, and that's what this legislation's about.
You also want to ban disposable vapes. I just wonder, is there an argument that we should be banning all vapes in the same way that we're banning smoking? Because there has been new research suggesting in recent weeks that vapers and smokers suffer similar changes to their DNA. Is that the real risk?
Well, the fact is that there are 6 million smokers, and many of them, vast majority of them would love to be able to stop or wish they'd never taken up smoking in the first place. And the best quit aid that we have is, of course, switching from smoking to vaping.
I just want to jump in.
I
just want to jump in, if I may, because I recognise that there is a path from smoking to vaping, but there are many other people who are just vaping, who've just taken up vaping. You just have to go through any high street and there are vapes all over the place. They're advertised, you can see them everywhere. So what about people who are just vaping?
So that's why taking the powers in this bill to be able to restrict flavours, packaging, to put vapes behind the counter, as we did with cigarettes in the past, is really critical, because what we're seeing is 1 in 5 kids have now vaped, and we've seen that trebling in the last 3 years, and so we're seeing a huge rise in the numbers of under 18s vaping. And of course what we're trying to do is get the right balance between clamping down on underage vaping and still allowing adults who want to stop smoking be able to turn to reusable vapes to be able to quit smoking. That's the idea behind the legislation.
Some of your colleagues, though, aren't happy about it. They see this as a betrayal of Conservative values. Jake Berry, for example, is saying, if you believe in freedom, you have to believe that people have to be free to make bad decisions as well as good decisions. Liz Truss, former Conservative Prime Minister, saying the people pushing this through are in danger of becoming finger-wagging control freaks. Are you a finger-wagging control freak?
Ask my kids, they'll definitely say yes. No, they probably wouldn't, actually. Obviously, you've just picked on 2 people who don't like it. The vast majority of Conservative colleagues are supporting it or abstaining on it, seeing how the bill progresses. It's absolutely not finger-wagging control freakery, not at all. The point is that once you're addicted to nicotine, your freedom of choice is completely gone. So 100,000 children every year have their first cigarette, and then once they're hooked on it, which is the absolute target of the big tobacco and vaping firms, they want to get you addicted to nicotine, because that then takes your choice away from you. So actually, a freedom-loving, choice-loving individual would choose to allow children to be free from addiction to nicotine.
You have seen, though, some Conservative MPs, I guess, wrestling with their consciences about how to vote, perhaps also wrestling with their future leadership ambitions. I think it's fair to say you're a veteran of Conservative leadership contests yourself. Is the next Conservative Party leader voting against this bill this evening?
Do you know, I thought you were going to say, is the next Conservative Party leader going to take up smoking today? And I was just going to be fascinated by that. I mean, obviously, I have no idea. We have a very good Prime Minister at the moment who I think has just literally brought through successfully second reading on a real life-changing bill. That's brilliant news. It's a reason to celebrate and not a reason to start plotting.
We've been talking a little bit about Liz Truss on the programme, and we're going to hear my interview with Jonathan Ashworth later on the show, Labour's Jonathan Ashworth. I have to say, he was absolutely chomping at the bit to talk about Liz Truss this evening. And you can kind of see Labour feel like all their Christmases have come at once at the minute with the Liz Truss book tour. She's been going around saying about how she was ecstatic about her mini budget, saying she might even run to be leader of the Conservative Party again. I mean, if you were head of campaigns at the Labour Party, you couldn't have dreamed this up a couple of weeks before the local elections. What's your message to Liz Truss?
I don't have messages to colleagues. I respect my colleagues for their opinions. The Conservative Party accommodates people of all different views, as we've just seen in this legislation today. But what I'm really celebrating right now is we've passed second reading of the biggest public health intervention ever, and it is going to save millions of lives. And actually, quite apart from the millions of lives, it's also going to save every minute of every day, someone is admitted to hospital with a smoking-related illness, and there are 75,000 GP appointments every week on smoking-related conditions. So it's also going to free up massive resources. It really is quite a game changer, and I think that's a cause for celebration.
You're clearly keen to talk about smoking this evening and the impact of the bill.
Yes.
That's coming across. The one other thing I did want to talk to you about, though, is we're going to be doing the story just after this interview with yourself. Nigel Farage in Brussels, talking with other right-wing leaders, including from Hungary, including people like Suella Braverman as well. The meeting has been shut down by the police in Brussels. What's your reaction to that? Do you think they were right to close down the meeting, or do you think it's an affront to free speech?
I mean, on the face of it, I think it's an absolute affront to free speech. I mean, I've not seen the details. I've been sitting in the chamber focused on the smoking bill, but from what I've seen in the media, it looks to me as though there was nothing particular happening that might cause them to need to shut down the conference. So I'll be reading up about it later.
OK, thank you very much indeed, Andrea Leadsom, there, hot-footing it over from the House of Commons chamber. Thank you.